Here's where we're at with Devil May Cry so far. Devil May Cry 1 was a weird, interesting hybrid of a Resident Evil game and the more stylish character action game DMC would become. It was enjoyable, but never felt like it had an identity all its own. Devil May Cry 2 was a terrible mess that stripped out the action and the puzzling and the exploration, and all that was left was a boring slog of a game. And then we come to Devil May Cry 3, released this week on Nintendo Switch. Is it the sequel the series deserves, or does it continue to wallow in the horrid mediocrity of the second game? Thankfully, it's easily the former. When I first started playing through the Devil May Cry games for the first time as they released on Nintendo Switch, I was told to wait until DMC 3. That's when the series really gets good. I then went into this game expecting it to be really transformative in some way, overhauling the series and taking it in a whole new, awesome direction after 2 was such a dud. I was extremely surprised then when I realised very quickly how much this game built on the foundations of the first game. It's as if the team at Capcom set out to make the sequel to DMC 1 that they should have made in the first place. Equally, it reveals how strong the structure and ideas of the first game were, simply taking refinement to make them truly shine. The mandate seemed to be, let's do everything from DMC 1, except better. It is little surprise then that the minute-to-minute action of DMC 3 is the highlight. They finally nailed it. It's fast and fluid, with tons of weapon variety. Fighting hordes of enemies never gets old. Slashing through them while experimenting with the weapons sustains the whole experience. The game is much faster than the original when it comes to giving you new toys to play with, and the ability to quick switch between 2 at any given time in each mission gives you plenty of engage and disengage options. The speed with which you can dodge in and out of combat makes you feel in complete control. I am terrible at all games, but especially action games, and even I had a lot of fun trying to get the most out of each attack and keep the combo going. The different styles give you the freedom to play however you prefer, while the Switch version allows you to switch, pardon the pun, between styles and all weapons at will with their freestyle mode, cracking the whole combat system wide open and removing the limitations of the base game. All the ideas of the combat system were in the first game. Multiple weapons that you consistently level up, stringing together combos for a higher rating and more orbs. But they didn't quite click then. The combat felt clunky and limited, the combo system more a fun aside. Here, the game refined and sped up the combat and offered options to really rack up the style score. Boss battles, like the first game, are where the combat really soars. Those big, usually one-on-one encounters are where you can test your mettle, where the focus solely on the boss and its patterns allows you to use your weapons, skills, and evasion to take them down. Or, in my case, die like 15 times until I eventually worked it out or brute forced it. Frankly, usually brute forced it. Regardless, it's really great. The story is more or less the most coherent a Devil May Cry story has been. It's still the pretty straightforward evil dude wants the power of Sparta, but Virgil and Lady both have fun little arcs of their own, and Dante is there too, I guess. Dante is an aloof, dopey bro who likes pizza for most of this game. His one-liners are pretty awful and cringe, but he still looks cool. He still has that going for him, I guess. They ramped up the style and insanity of the cutscenes to, I don't know, how far can Devil May Cry go? Every cutscene, they're just swinging for the fences in terms of lunacy and just ridiculous scenarios and crazy fight scenes. These people should make an action film. DMC 3 kinda sorta has puzzles, but like the first, with a couple of exceptions, it's more finding the key to the lock blocking progress. And the puzzles that are there are either obtuse or extraordinarily simple, so really it's better off that there are less than more. The game does lose some steam in the last quarter as you revisit many environments you've seen before, and are even saddled with a late game boss rush. They should remove all boss rushes from every game in the history of games, unless it's like an optional side mode. Video games should not do the dumb thing where the second last level is, and now you fight all the bosses you already fought. Again! Nobody likes that, it sucks. It's just adding more to your game, not better. Add better to your game. That is a shame, as the first 14 or 15 missions breeze on by. The last few feel more like padding than anything else. The game has a decent amount to do outside of the core story. If you want a greater challenge, each time you beat the game on one difficulty you unlock a harder one. You also unlock an easy mode if you die a couple of times. I unlocked it very quickly, but resisted the urge to actually use it. Go me, very proud of myself. Beat the game and you can also play as Virgil, which is pretty nifty. Bloody Palace offers you a chance to clear floor after floor of enemies, and can be played in co-op in the Switch version. So if you can't get enough of slaughtering monsters running through the story, you can do it there too. It's a solidly substantial package. Devil May Cry 3 is the first time I felt like I was truly playing a Devil May Cry game. Going into each entry in the series for the first time on Switch, I had an idea in my head of what a Devil May Cry game looked like. DMC1 had too much Resident Evil DNA mixed in, while DMC2 was just a complete train wreck. This time, they nailed it. Devil May Cry finally became a series with an identity all its own. The potential the series clearly had in the first game was mined deeper and refined to create a shining example of a tremendous character action game. A sluggish final quarter holds it back from true greatness, but DMC3 is furious, frenzied, frenetic fun. Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening Special Edition gets 8.5 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully they'll at least continue releasing the next couple of Devil May Cry games on Switch, so I can continue going through them and reviewing them. I don't think they can get 5 on there. I think that's probably a little too much for the Switch to handle, but hopefully at least they can get DMC4 and DMC on there. You can follow me on Twitter at GarrettKidney, G-A or ETTKIDNEY, so you can see my clips of me being really bad at Devil May Cry. On your left, my review of Devil May Cry 1. On your right, my review of Devil May Cry 2. Thanks for watching.